morning. I'm Dan Lutz. I'm a Wayne County Prosecuting Attorney, and we're here because there's two very important issues on the ballot. One is a statewide issue, that's called Issue 1, that we want to talk about because all of us here are in opposition to it. And the other is the issue to fund the Justice Center, in particular a new jail, because we do not have enough jail space for our judges to do the job they need to do. So first, I'm going to speak to Issue 1. This is a statewide issue. It's a constitutional amendment. I want people to understand that. This is not a statute, meaning it's going into the Constitution if it passes. And if it passes, it's very difficult to change. It would take another ballot initiative to change it and to stop the havoc it will reap, in my opinion. So this kind of thing should not be in our Constitution, and that's what this is, and people need to understand that. But the two main points I want to address with Issue 1, and I'll let others speak to some of the other issues. Possession of any amount of any drug will be a misdemeanor, and not only just a misdemeanor, and for those of you who don't know, felonies are considered serious criminal offenses, and misdemeanors are less serious criminal offenses. Felonies you can go to prison for, misdemeanors you go to the local jail for. So not only will all possession cases, meaning possession of any drug, fentanyl, carfentanil, heroin, methamphetamine, LSD, date rape drugs, will be misdemeanors. There will be misdemeanors that cannot be, you cannot be jailed for them until a third conviction in 2 years. That's what State Issue 1 does. In my opinion, and I think everybody up here, that sends the wrong message to our children. Okay, if you can't even go to jail until a third conviction in 2 years for possessing these deadly substances, what is that telling our children in regard to, are they really that deadly? Just keep this in mind. A 20-year-old college kid with a beard will face more potential consequences than someone caught with enough fentanyl, even from the proponent's best reading of the amendment, that could kill up to 10,000 people. So enough fentanyl to kill up to 10,000 people would get less of a consequence, if any, than a college kid, a 20-year-old college kid with a beard, and that's just wrong. Ohio will effectively have the most lenient drug laws in the state if Issue 1 passes, and I don't think we want that. That would create a haven for drug traffickers and drug users alike, and will cause a whole host of other unintended consequences should Issue 1 pass. And I want people to know that Issue 1 is just not about rehabilitating those addicted to drugs. That's what the proponents are trying to say. And to only keep violent offenders in prison. Well, in fact, Issue 1 will release many violent offenders from prison because it also calls for up to a 25% plus sentence reduction for felons who are already in prison. So in other words, it's retroactive and it goes into the future. It allows the Department of Rehabilitation and Correction to reduce the sentences of prisoners who are convicted of such crimes as voluntary manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter, felonious assault, aggravated assault, permitting child abuse, kidnapping, abduction, extortion, trafficking in persons, which is human trafficking, gross sexual imposition, aggravated arson, aggravated robbery, aggravated burglary, felony domestic violence, endangering children, illegal manufacture of drugs, and funding drug trafficking. So when they say they're just trying to keep only the most violent offenders in prison, that's not true, because these are violent convicts that will be able to get up to a 25% plus 30-day sentence reduction. Up to 25% for simply participating in some sort of prison program for work, rehabilitation, or treatment, not completing, but just participating. If they complete it, they get an additional 30 days off. So I just want those two main points that I'm going to talk about. That is that this is possession of any amount of any drug will be a misdemeanor that's non-jailable until a third conviction in 2 years. And secondly, it's going to allow a whole bunch, even by the proponents' estimates, it will release 10,000 people out of our prison system onto our streets early. So with that said, I want to introduce Judge Timothy Van Sickle, who's going to speak to a couple of, very clear here. We have two issues on the ballot in November here in Wayne County. Issue 1's a statewide issue, and again, it's a proposed constitutional amendment. It will put the terms of Issue 1 into the Constitution, cannot be changed legislatively, has to be changed by another ballot initiative. Very difficult to change if we get it wrong. Issue 1's written very poorly. People argue about what it really says. For that reason alone, why do we want to put that language into our Ohio Constitution? If for all these other reasons stated, if it's so poorly written, why are we putting that into our state constitution? So vote no on Issue 1, vote yes on the funding issue, the sales tax increase for our Justice Center and our jail, because for the same reasons we need that here locally. We need a yes on that for the same reason. We're going to die. They're dying now, but we're going to have an increase of overdose deaths just because drugs are going to be so much more prevalent. The cost-benefit analysis for someone who deals in this poison, someone who traffics it, someone who possesses it, is going to be a no-brainer to them. There's going to be no risk, and their benefit in terms of profiting from selling this poison, these deadly substances, is going to be great. So we're going to see a huge increase in the opiate crisis and other drug problems, methamphetamine, heroin, LSD, all those drugs that we're dealing with, primarily right now, the opiates and methamphetamine, are just going to surge.
Option off the table for judges. There are very few remedies that Issue 1 will allow, if any, that will be effective in deterring people who are facing addiction, and the court will be hamstrung with what it can do. And as I've said before, if Issue 1 passes, people will die. That is not even open for debate. That is going to happen because it takes away one of the most effective ways of treating addicts through drug courts. One of the arguments that the proponents try to sell this with is that it's going to result in all kinds of money for treatment. The Office of Budget and Management has recently released a study that indicates that this Issue 1 could cost the state of Ohio tens of millions of dollars. And that means that the money for treatment will probably not be there. So it's a double whammy in the sense that we're going to take away an effective option of treating people that are facing addiction. We're going to lessen the penalties, and we're going to end up with less money to actually end up treating the people that need it the most. Like I said, Issue 1 is a terrible approach for treating addiction, and you need to know that. With that, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Sue Smale to talk about the jail. Thank you.
Thank you. We are facing a critical stage here at our Wayne County Justice Center. The jail is overcrowded. Its facilities, its systems are failing, HVAC, we have plumbing issues, but overcrowding is the biggest thing. We are now housing in between 20 and 40 inmates a day out of county. We have already advanced $125,000 to the Sheriff's Department this year, and if the current situation keeps up, we're looking at perhaps $300,000 by year's end. The jail is more than just a jail. It is sometimes the first stop for a mental health facility. Over 80% of the inmates here do receive some sort of treatment. We currently have over 1,600 individuals in Wayne County in some sort of alternative program. So that will not go away. Some of the people have said we need to spend more money on mental health and not so much on a jail. But we do have many mental health programs available to people if they would just take advantage. The jail is one more tool that the judges have in their toolbox. When people repeatedly violate probation, violate house arrest, the judges have to have some sort of a hammer to hold over them so that they do comply. We have been told by one mother, thank you for putting my son in jail, otherwise he would be dead, because they are repeat addicts, and it's an illness. You know, we look at it and say, why can't they just stop? They can't stop. The other thing is we are asking for a 0.3% sales tax increase that will be on the November ballot. That represents 30 cents, 3 cents on $10. So if you make a $10 purchase in Wayne County right now, you pay $10.65. And if the sales tax levy passes, it would be $10.68. Currently, of our 6.5% sales tax that we collect in Wayne County, only 0.75% stays here in the county. The other 5.75% goes back to the state. So with the addition of the 0.3%, we would then have 1.05% here in Wayne County, and that's what we operate our budget on. This is, like I said, a critical issue. We hope that you get out and support.
So my goal at that point was to try to get to the source of that problem, working myself up from one of the smallest villages in this county to the director of Medway Drug Enforcement Agency. everything that we deal with on the road, out on the road, rapes, robberies, burglaries, thefts, assaults, it's all in one way or another we can trace it back to drugs. By passing this bill, it's going to let these same offenders who are in prison for these offenses, it's going to let them out. The true victims of this bill are going to be the citizens of Ohio. The users of the drugs that we're talking about today, they're victims of the dealer, and we're going to let the dealers out of jail essentially if this passes. We can't do this. We have to be responsible. We have to read this bill for what it is, be informed voters, and vote no on this issue. Ohioans have a responsibility to do the right thing here, and now's their time.
For the last 4 years, and on the opiate crisis, I'm here today, and we're here today to oppose issue 1. We are protectors and defenders of life. This amendment would unleash death into our communities. As it's already been said, a man walking down the street with a beer can would have more consequences than a man with 1,000 pounds of heroin. On the day that this passes and is implemented, 10,000 prisoners or 10,000 convicts that have already been sentenced will be released into our communities, and no community would be able to financially take that kind and endure that kind of financial devastation. But the most devastating effect that it would have is it would remove one of our greatest tools that we have had in our community, and that is it would remove our drug courts. I can't tell you as a pastor how many times I have sat and talked to a parent who has said, thank God for the judges and the drug courts. That is our greatest tool. This amendment has been promoted as a money-saving prisoner reform, and that's what makes it confusing and deceiving. It is really not a law at all. People are saying it's a law. It is an amendment that will change the Constitution and make it impossible to change without a legislational process. So as pastors, we're here today to urge this community on November the 6th, go out and vote no on issue 1.
There's nothing in this bill that mandates, that guarantees that they will get help. They will be released upon our community. We know that in every community in the state of Ohio, there are homeless people who need help. Truly, this is a bad way to solve a problem that was created years ago. This is not how you solve the problem. You do not release drug addicts, people who are not, look, I spent 25 years as a crack addict. Yes, I'm one of those people. Thank to God, my life changed. The only thing a drug addict wants is his next high. The question is, what will he do to get that high? When you release these people into our community, they're unemployable, they have little or no skills. Where will you release them? More than likely in my community. Already high crime areas. I am against this issue, not because I don't want to help people who need help, but because this is not the way to help. You need to vote no on issue 1.
It's also important that we read that bill. We look at the language that says up to. They're saying up to 25%. So you can get 2%. So make sure you read the bill. I'm also a recovering addict. There's no way I'm going to minimize the drugs that I use. No way that I'm going to minimize the looks on my children's face when I will come home after 2 or 3 days. I'm not minimizing that. You will not minimize the power of heroin and fentanyl in our community. It is deadly. It is deadly. I can see, just picture it, someone running from the law with fentanyl and throw it into a carriage with a baby in it because they think they're hiding it. Our babies have no choice in the matter. They don't have an answer in the matter. We have to protect our children, protect our families. It's no. There's no mandated treatment in that bill either. So you're not trying to fix addicts. It's something else behind it. So I ask everyone and encourage everyone to read the bill. And when you get done reading, I guarantee it's a no on issue 1.